yourself together. Pretty soon you're gonna be dead. What in the world you thinking of? Laughing in the face of love. What on earth you trying to do? It's up to you, yeah, you. Instant karma's gonna get you. Gonna look you right in the face. You better get yourself together, darling. Join the human race. How in the world you gonna see? Laughing at fools like me. Who in the hell do you think you are? A superstar? Well, alright you are. Well, we all shine on like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on. Everyone, come on. The instant karma's gonna get you. It's gonna knock you off your feet. You better recognize your brothers, everyone you meet. Why in the world are we here? Surely not to live in pain and fear. Why on earth are you there? When you're everywhere, come and get your share. Well, we all shine on like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on and on and on, 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 on. Well, we all shine on like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on. Everyone, one more time. Well, we all shine on like the moon and the stars and the sun. Well, we all shine on. Everyone, come on.
When the morning breaks and the sunlight warms my soul, in the east the eagle flies and the red tail proudly soars. I'm on my way to the place of the spirit one. Grandfather, hear me now, I am on fire. Let the Sundance guide my feet to your desire. Show me visions for my eyes and words like gold that shimmer in the sun. Hi-ah, hi-ah, hi-ah. When the sun goes down and it grows too dark to see, I look within to the shaman's mysteries. I'm on my way to die and live again. Grandmother Earth, I cried, give me rest. I take my place with a woman in the West. Show me the raven and the bear, the way of herbs and the black obsidian. Hi-ah, hi-ah, hi-ah. Turn toward the south like the water I will run. In innocence and trust, the moonchild song is sung. I'm on my way to the place of the sacred plants, my emotions and my will at their command, where the turtle's voice is heard upon the land, where the wise coyote prowls, the rattlesnake will call me to the dance. Hi-ya, hi-ya, hi-ya. In the deepest night, the stars watch over me. Old woman of the north, my mind seeks clarity. I'm on my way to the place of the northern winds. Let the thunder and the lightning carry me. Lay my thoughts to rest and send me into sleep with the hawk and the buffalo, my mind's white crystal magic medicine. Hi-ya, 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 hi-ya.
Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. No room in this heart for fear. No judgment day drawing near. Trust that inner voice you hear every day. Life's not a goal or race. It's about heart and faith and living a life of grace every day. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once gone, you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you'll rest in the arms of the Savior if thins in the ways you lack. Some say they're gonna come back in the garden, but your carrots and little sweet peas. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called glory, and I ain't saying it ain't fact. But I've heard that I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. I believe in love and to live my life accordingly, and I choose to let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Think I'll just let the mystery be. Because the world is down, it turns me on. Because the world is because the wind is high, it blows my mind. Because the wind is high. Love is old, love is new. Love is old, love is you. Because the sky is blue, it makes me cry. Because the sky is blue.
Good morning. Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the Reverend Tiffany Sapp, the minister of this church, and I'm so glad that you could be with us today. Please be aware that this service is being live streamed and recorded, and that you can find subtitles on one of the menu options at the bottom of your screen. We're still posting the services to YouTube, and you are welcome to join us in that way, but you will miss our interactive elements of the service. This is our very last service, 100% online. Starting next week, we will have an in-person service in the morning at 11 a.m. at Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. And then a video of that service will post to YouTube later in the day on that Sunday. This Zoom experience has been a blessing for me, and I hope it has been for you too. No matter where we are located, we are a diverse community that sees our differences as a source of strength and learning as we all seek transformation. Some folks think that because of our open-mindedness and our welcoming posture, that this is a place where anyone can believe anything that they want. That's certainly what they told me about Unitarian Universalism in the Protestant Christian seminary that I attended many years ago. And yet that's really not true. We have 7 principles that guide how we create community together and try to transform the world into a just and loving place. And we have 6 sources that point us to resources for thought, inspiration, and ethical guidance. Sure, our sources and principles are broad, as we rather err on the side of inclusion rather than exclusion, but it's not a free-for-all. Today's service is centered on our 4th principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and our 5th source, humanist teachings, which counsel us to heed the guidance of reason and the results of science, and warns against the idolatries of the mind and spirit. Humanism, to quote the Humanist Manifesto 3, is a progressive philosophy of life without supernaturalism that affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment that aspire to the greater good of humanity. It's skeptical and scientific, but not just for the sake of being skeptical and scientific. Instead, it is a vehicle for ethical living and care for the world. So let's begin our time together with a chalice lighting from a Unitarian Universalist humanist.
Good morning. I am Bradley, your service leader here at Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist. We welcome you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday with us, we are stronger because of your presence. We are one people with many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Our chalice lighting is written by Sean Trapp, a Unitarian Universalist layperson who is also a certified humanist celebrant. This means that he has been certified by the American Humanist Association to do weddings, memorial services, and other functions that you would find clergy doing, making a path for the non-religious to mark these special rites of passage as well. If you have a chalice or a candle that you would like to light with me, please join me now. Our chalice reminds us of the fact that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of void is vast, and our experience here is but a blip in the cosmic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness and our short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply, with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we've ever known. This rational thought and critical thinking part is key to the theme of this week's service. But how do we do that? One of the tools that we need to think critically is the ability to stay flexible and to let go of previously held positions, to be willing to shift our position when new information comes up. We are always adapting. This is called having a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, something that one of our characters of our story knows all about, and the other is still learning. This is the story of Bubblegum Brain.
I'm Bubblegum Brain. I like to chew on my thoughts, flex, bend, and stretch my brain, and expand the way I think. I make great mistakes that help me learn.
I'm Brick Brain. With me, things are the way they are, and they're probably not going to change much. I am the way I am, and that's just how it is.
Hey, this looks fun.
This looks hard.
I can't wait to try.
What if I fail?
I can't figure this out yet.
I can't figure this out at all.
Let's try riding unicycles. This is so fun, even if I fall a lot.
I can't do it. I stink at it big time.
Just try.
I did. It's too hard.
Well, try using your bubblegum brain.
I don't have one.
Yes, you do. Everyone does. Your brain only looks like a brick, but just peel off your bubblegum wrapper. See? It isn't even that thick.
Well, now my brain feels free to grow and hope and stretch and bend.
Get rid of that fixed mindset of yours and the possibilities will never end.
Now that I've peeled off my wrapper, my brain can start to grow.
And what you are learning becomes a lot more important than what you already know.
I can chew on my thoughts and stretch my ideas and take charge of how I think.
Add a yet to every I can't that you have and don't ever stop at I stink.
I can tell myself that it's okay to make a lot of great mistakes.
Once you feel what it's like to have hope, you'll be amazed at the paths you take.
It's not about how much talent I have or how much stuff I can do.
What matters most is how hard you work at becoming a better you.
This bubblegum brain thing actually works. It's really fun to think like this.
The sky is the limit when your wrapper is off and your brain isn't stiff like a brick.
I realize now that my mindset's been stuck. I was caught up in what I was seeing. Now I know I must look outside the box because becoming is better than being.
You get it now. In order to grow, there are choices we need to make. We need to become more hopeful thinkers and make some great mistakes.
Thank you, Sarah. And how wonderful it is to know that we don't have to get things perfectly right the first time, and that changing our mindset is an important part of this search for truth and meaning. I wonder, can you all think of a time that you changed your mind? Was it hard? What became possible after your thinking shifted? Share in the chat if you'd like. The Beatles came onto the scene when a lot of shifts in thinking were occurring, and they modeled for many how it could be done. And they kind of turned the world upside down a little bit. The hauntingly beautiful song Because turns music itself upside down, as it was created when John Lennon asked his girl Yoko Ono if she could play Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata backwards. This was the result, with harmonies that take way more skill than I'll ever have. Here is Because.
Because the world is down, it turns me on. Because the world is because the wind is high, it blows my mind. Because the wind is high. Love is old, love is new. Love is old, love is you. Because the sky is blue, it makes me cry. Because the sky is blue.
Wow. I know that everyone just wants to be clapping. And so, Brandy, Wendy, Amy, imagine that you are just surrounded by 30 people just standing ovation. That was incredible. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us today. And I want to invite all of you to come to this community with all that you are. Your joys and your concerns are welcome here. If you're with us in Zoom, I welcome you to type your joys and concerns in the chat box. I might end up writing some of what you type out loud, so please only share what you're comfortable with everyone knowing. If you're on YouTube, I'm not going to be able to see what you write in the YouTube chat. Today, I want to light a candle for peace. We need peace. The world needs peace. The people of Ukraine especially need peace and freedom and support. Transgender children and their parents in Texas especially need peace and freedom and support. In our interconnected world, where injustice anywhere is a threat to people everywhere, we need peace. We need peace. John Lennon says that peace is not something that you wish for. It's something that you make. It's something that you do. It's something that you are. And it's something that you give away. Let us turn our hearts, our minds, our spirits toward peace. Let's take a few moments of silence for peace. We hold our community and the world's sorrows with tenderness and hopes for healing. And we still have joys. We still have things to be grateful for. They're like new sprouts, maybe sunflower sprouts emerging from the ground. See what our joys and concerns are. A sharing from Rosemary's co-lead in Ukraine. Another night of hell in Izium. I apologize. I probably didn't say that right. They shoot again in the center. We have even more destruction. Shells fall all over the city. Concern for Ukraine and for Brittany Griner, detained in Russia. Care for members of our congregation who are connected to people in Ukraine. Grateful for community here. Strength and love to the people of Ukraine. Joy for daffodils. Joy for a Mardi Gras party. Lighting a candle today for a cousin that passed away last week with cancer and her younger sister who's being treated for cancer. Heavy blow to a family. Joy for a birthday celebrated with family. Prayer for peace on earth and Ukraine. Someone's planting a large sunflower garden in support of the people of Ukraine. My personal joy was yesterday at the work day. There were 25 people working on the property. The old playground's taken down. About 8 million leaves were cleared away. The garden was weeded. It's a very exciting time and a very joyful time to work side by side with so many of you. Huge joy, huge thank you to Greg for organizing us all and to everyone who showed up. And a hopeful joy for the way that our church is continuing to adapt and transition. We hold all of this. Oh, and yes, shared joys for the marvelous cleanup team. We share all of this together. It's a big part of what makes us community. This is a common humanity thing that we have, that we're all We all experience joy, we all experience sorrow, and we all need each other when we're experiencing it. So, holding all of this and what remains unspoken in our hearts, we center our practice in loving kindness.
Our reading is from one of our favorite poets, Mary Oliver. In her 2015 interview with On Being, she shared that while she attended Sunday school as a child, she always felt reluctant to join a church. As today is a chance to explore how we know what we know, it seems like a good move to start with her poem, What Is There Beyond Knowing? What is there beyond knowing that keeps calling to me? I can't turn in any direction, but it's there. I don't mean the leaves grip and shine, or even the thrush's silk song, but the far-off fires, for example, of the stars, heaven's slowly turning theater of light, or the wind playful with its breath, or time that's always rushing forward or standing still in the same, what shall I say, moment. What I know, I could put into a pack and carry it as if it were bread and cheese and carry it on one shoulder. Important and honorable, but so small, while everything else continues, unexplained and unexplainable. How wonderful is it to follow a thought quietly to its logical end? I've done this a few times, but mostly I just stand in the dark field, in the middle of the world, breathing in and out. Life so far doesn't have any other name but breath and light, wind and rain. If there's a temple, I haven't found it yet. I simply go on drifting in the heaven of the grass and in the weeds.
Many years ago in Northwest Florida, I was trying to teach a bunch of elementary aged kids about the power of skepticism and why it's important to us as Unitarian Universalists. And, as kids often do, they taught me the lesson instead. After some rudimentary explanation of the theme of the day, I asked them, how can you know something for certain? I love asking kids big questions. Their flexible thinking always makes for interesting answers. And there were a variety of thoughtful responses, but this one kid, we're going to call them Dragon for the sake of the story, wasn't having any of it. They cut into the conversation and pointed at a painting hanging on the wall in the classroom and said, "Who painted that?" And I supplied the name of the kid who painted it. "Prove it," they said with a smile. "I was there when they painted it," I said. "You could be lying," they said with a shrug. That doesn't prove to me that she painted it. Prove it. One of the other kids, eager to defend Miss Tiffany, chimed in. What if we asked her if she painted it? She could be lying too, Dragon replied. She and Miss Tiffany could have talked together and planned to trick us. This got a few of the kids a little indignant that Miss Tiffany would be accused of such a thing, but I was grinning ear to ear. No, Dragon has a point. Even if you do feel like you can trust me, there's no way to prove that I'm not just lying about it. Another kid chimed in. Look, her signature is on the painting. Still doesn't prove it, Dragon said with a smirk. They were clearly enjoying having the power in this conversation. I'm afraid Dragon's right. If I were trying to fool you, then surely we would do a complete job of it and fake the signature, I conceded. Some of the kids were nodding along now. One kid was definitely getting a little agitated. Having the trustworthiness of your reality being called into question can do that. He threw up his hands. We could test the painting for fingerprints or see if we could collect some skin cells off the painting. I looked over at Dragon to see their reply. They could have planted the evidence. This kid was unflappable, and it was time for me to wrap up the exploration. It seems to me that Dragon has a good point here, I said. We have gathered a lot of evidence that suggests that our friend here did create the painting, but there's a seed of doubt that we can't eliminate. Absolute, concrete, 100% certainty may not be achievable in this case. And this delightful exchange really shows how important it is to have in our sources and principles warnings to not get too attached to our certainty. It's a big question, and one that Charlie Miller brought to me when we got together to talk about what he wanted me to preach on for my auction sermon. How comfortable should you be when you think you're right? My expert skeptic in Florida seems to already know the answer to that question. Don't get comfortable at all with your certainty. And while I agree with them, I'm not willing to let that be the final word and abandon the quest for truth and meaning. I want to be free to search. And I want the tools so that I can search responsibly. In that spirit, I wish to propose a few tools we can carry with us on our search for truth and meaning to make it a responsible search. The first tool we can bring is an understanding of cognitive biases. These are all the ways that we distort our own thinking, creating a bias away from our shared reality and toward our own preferences. While there are many cognitive biases out there and they all affect us, I will mention two briefly. First, there's confirmation bias. This is the tendency to interpret new evidence in light of what we already believe, or only seeking out information that we already know will already support what we already believe. We see a lot of this online. Someone Googles a topic that they've already formed an opinion on, clicks and skims the first two articles they see whose titles support the opinion they already have, and then declare that their research supports their claim. With the pervasiveness of information on the internet nowadays, this form of research is as common as daffodils in March in East Tennessee. We can see how this calls back to our big question for the day, and it suggests that thinking that we're right and then only looking for evidence that will back that up can definitely get in the way of our quest for truth and meaning. Here's a fun example of confirmation bias. Catherine Nolag on Twitter said, "I still think my favorite thing that ever happened to me on the internet is the time that a guy said to me, 'People change their minds when you show them the facts.' And I said, 'Actually, studies show that that's not true,' and I linked 2 sources. And he said, 'Yeah, well, I still think it works.'" Another cognitive bias, the Dunning-Kruger effect, is probably one of my favorites because I see it personally mess with my own life so much because of how it connects with imposter syndrome. The Dunning-Kruger effect is where the less knowledgeable or experienced in a given field you are, the more likely you are to overestimate your abilities or knowledge in this area. Basically, the more you know, the less confident you are about the subject, and the least you know, the more confident you are about a subject. The consequence of the Dunning-Kruger effect is that highly competent and knowledgeable people will be less certain about their subject or skill of specialization than people who know just enough to be dangerous. If you've watched American Idol auditions and seen some of the supremely confident but tone deaf auditions, followed by someone that's humble and intimidated but has a face of an angel, a voice of an angel, then you've seen the Dunning-Kruger effect at work. As someone who has 7 years of formal training of studying and criticizing the Bible, and then 2 decades of reflecting critically and theologically on that study, I feel the Dunning-Kruger effect pretty hard when I encounter argumentative biblical literalists. And there are many other cognitive biases, ways that we mess with our own thinking to maintain our sense of rightness. And while I can't get into all of them today, you can see how understanding this tendency in us can warn us against becoming too confident in our own opinions, and to be wary of the ways that we are tempted to just assume that we're always already right. An awareness of logical fallacies is a similarly helpful tool to keep our quest for truth and meaning responsible. We have ad hominem fallacies that attack the source of the information rather than the validity of the information itself. Straw man arguments that intentionally build a weak or inaccurate version of an argument so that it's then easier to tear down. There's circular reasoning, red herrings, and more. I can and have made an entire study of logical fallacies and the way that people use them to allow themselves to hold their position and not examine their beliefs. If you want to explore these more, I highly recommend the website yourlogicalfallacyis.com. So those are some detail-oriented tools that might help us discern why a resource or an idea or even our own ways of thinking may be less reliable. But there's also a good big picture tool that I want to highlight, and I call this tool Know What's Unknowable. A few weeks ago, I claimed Carl Sagan was an atheist. And after church, one of our people corrected me. He said Carl Sagan was agnostic, citing Carl Sagan's many statements that he could not possess the certainty that is needed to be atheist. This sent me on a quest for truth and meaning. I did some Googling and I found this interview between Robert Pope and Carl Sagan in 1996. And in this interview, this is what Carl Sagan said. "I am not an atheist. An atheist is someone who has compelling evidence that there is no Judeo-Christian Islamic God. I am not that wise. But neither do I consider there to be anything approaching adequate evidence for such a God. Why are you in such a hurry to make up your mind? Why not simply wait until there is compelling evidence? So this is the gift of Carl Sagan and many of his scientist kin. They will insist on evidence and leave everything else at I don't know. What a great question he asks us. Why are you in such a hurry to make up your mind? Clearly, his point is definitely not in favor of there being a God, but he really drives home how there's no evidence out there that would make the existence or the non-existence of God provable. Existence of deity or existence of an afterlife aren't things we're going to have concrete evidence for by their very nature. Sure, we can lean on other sources. Humanism is one of 6, including our second source, personal experience. And these things can inform our beliefs about these things. But the scientific evidence just isn't going to be there any more than I can prove to Dragon that one of their classmates painted that painting. And rather than let that disturb you, I hope you can let it inspire you with how much room it creates in Unitarian Universalism. It's why we have freed ourselves from dogma and creed. It's why we can create a community with so much diversity. It's why our focus is on the question, not the answer, and why our focus is on the quest, not the destination. Because we're not going to come to blows here over what's inherently unknowable. It shows us why when we talk about the 5th source, humanism, we talk about how it guards against the idolatries of mind and spirit. We can have our beliefs, and we very much do, but we don't make idols out of them that keep us from investigating our beliefs critically and allowing for the possibility that we might be wrong, that sometimes we might want to change. To further back that up, when Charlie and I were talking about the topic, he reminded me to be skeptical about humanism itself too. We can be skeptical about skepticism. It's humbling but also freeing to acknowledge how much we don't know. And Mary Oliver's simple wisdom really does it best. What I know, I could put into a pack as if it were bread and cheese and carry it on one shoulder. Important and honorable, but so small, while everything else continues, unexplained and unexplainable. What if it's okay to just say, I don't know, when you don't know? What if it's okay to know when a belief is a belief and that we can hold it loosely, but still hold it when it gives our lives meaning and it helps us to help each other? Maybe it will make more room. Maybe it will widen our circle while everything else continues unexplained and unexplainable.
I'm glad we're exploring these big questions together as a community. Please extinguish your chalice with me. Some came here to be blessed with answers in a tumultuous world. Let us hope too, however, that many of us have been blessed with questions to direct us with a clarity of mind to steer our logic towards kindness and justice always. Next Sunday, we are beginning a new adventure as a community with our dual platform reopening. If you're planning on coming to our in-person service, please join us at 136 Bob Job Road in Gray, Tennessee. The service begins at 11 a.m. But since ushers will be seating you in family groups and pods, you may want to show up earlier to get time to settle in. Please bring a well-fitting mask and visit our website to look at the level 3 high guidelines. We're going to stay distanced, but hopefully the weather will be nice so we can do some back porch socializing after the service. Please note that the kitchen is closed at this time, and we will not have food or beverages, and we will not be singing during the service. If you're planning on staying online, we will not be meeting online at 11 a.m. Unfortunately, because of our building's location in Gray, we don't have strong enough internet to support streaming services. Your feedback from the Stay Online survey says that those of you that are going to be 100% online or mostly online at this time are not expecting to be available for a Zoom service Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. So to ease the transition of our tech team, we are simply going to post our services onto YouTube no later than midnight on Sunday, but most likely earlier than that. If you're going to go to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you'll be notified as soon as that service video is uploaded. The timing of our reopening is really interesting. It will be exactly 2 years since we've closed for the pandemic. To honor this anniversary, our religious education program is offering an intergenerational art pop-up this coming Saturday, the 12th. Art and collage materials will be provided, and you can bring your own mementos of the last 2 years to add to the project piece if you wish. Visit our website for more information on this event. Sign up soon to make sure you get a spot.
This dual platform reopening is exciting and it is stretching our volunteers to the limit. Is there any way that you would like to volunteer to help us out? We are looking for greeters and ushers for in-person. We have thankfully found a nursery worker coordinator, but we still need to hire a few nursery workers. We need tech people behind the video camera and behind the computer running videos during the in-person service. And we need to get our filmed materials posted to the internet for our online viewers Sunday afternoon. These are all things that we could use your help with. No matter how you volunteer, you will get tons of training and support. It's going to take all of us to get this going. So give some thought about how you might be able to pitch in if you're not already doing 3 different jobs for us already. Talk to me or contact the office and we'll connect you with the right people. It really is going to take all of us doing our part, and so many of you already are. If you've already found a way to help us out, thank you so much. Also, we are in the middle of pledging season. Every year, we at Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church ask our members and our friends to make a commitment to supporting our community financially throughout the year. Those pledges help us plan to pay our bills, employ our staff, fund our programs, and go out into the world to make a difference. When I pay attention to the news locally and worldwide, I think we need Unitarian Universalism now more than ever. If you're ready to pledge an amount for next fiscal year, please email stewardship@hvuc.org. So those are the ways that you can transform our personal community as we're going through a lot of changes And here's a way to help transform our world. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee has created an emergency response relief fund for the people of Ukraine. If you want to make a donation, go to the UU Service Committee website right here, uusc.org. In keeping with the theme of the day, I would like to offer you the blessing of not knowing. May we be free from the chains of false certainty that want to end our exploration before it has even begun. May we be gifted with the curiosity to play with the unknowable, the sense to hold on to the knowable, and the wisdom to know the difference. May our quest for truth and meaning never overshadow our calling to compassion and justice and love. And may every answer that we uncover give birth to at least 3 more questions.
God said to Abraham, kill me a son. Abe said, man, you must be putting me on. God said, no. Abe say, what? God said, you can do what you want, Abe, but the next time you see me coming, you better run. Oh, Abe said, where do you want this killing done? And God said, out on Highway 61. Well, Georgia Sam, he had a bloody nose. Welfare department, they wouldn't give him no clothes. He asked poor Howard, where can I go? Howard said, there's only one place I know. And Sam said, well, tell me quick, man, I got to run. Oh, Howard just pointed with his gun and said, that way down Highway 61. Well, Mac the Finger said to Louis the King, I got 40 red, white, and blue shoestrings and 1,000 telephones that don't ring. Do you know where I can get rid of these things? And Louis the King said, let me think for a minute, son. And he said, yes, I think it can be easily done. Just take everything down to Highway 61. Now the 5th daughter on the 12th night told the first father that things weren't right. My complexion, she said, is much too white. He said, come here and step into the light. He said, you're right. Let me tell the second mother this has been done. But the second mother was with the 7th son, and they were both out on Highway 61. Now the roving gambler, he was very bored. He's trying to create a next world war. He found a promoter who nearly fell off the floor. He said, I never engaged in this kind of thing before, but yes, I do think it can be very easily done. We'll just put some bleachers out in the sun and have it out on Highway